I'm Kendall Ratliff. I believe that you can change your life by trying one thing at a time. You can learn more at my website, tryonething.co, or by tuning in to the Help NSFW podcast.
And I'm Johnny Fairplay, reality TV, survivor. And throughout my adventures, I've met a lot of interesting and motivating characters.
Johnny and I made this podcast because we want you to unlock your full fucking potential. So whether you want to get a little more badass or a lot more badass, strap in. Join us here each week. It's Help NSFW. Hey, welcome back to Help NSFW. We are joined today by Omar Elkalyoubie. He is with Give Kids the World, which does really great things to help children with fatal diseases and their families have an amazing week together in Central Florida. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit more about what you do.
So I am the development manager for Give Kids the World here in Orlando or Kissimmee, Florida, right outside of Disney World. And as you said, we fulfill the wishes of critically ill kids that have a wish to do something in Central Florida. It could be wrestle a gator at Gatorland, have breakfast with Belle, meet Mickey Mouse, go to Walt Disney World, meet Harry Potter, not meet Harry Potter, but go to Harry Potter Wizarding World at Universal, anything that has to do with Central Florida. If their wish is that, we're the resort that fulfills that wish. Not only do they get that wish, but they get a full week here at the Village, which is an 89-acre whimsical resort. We celebrate Christmas every week and Halloween every week. Basically, you get an entire year of experiences in 1 week.
That's amazing.
For the whole family.
How did you get involved in that?
So I got involved in that by the very first time I heard of Give Kids the World. Many years ago, I was doing a local Orlando theme park blog, and they invited us here to come see the resort. And as you do when you come here, you're pretty much hooked right away when you see what it is that we do here. And from then on, I figured I had to figure out a way to get more involved. A few years later, I became involved with an event called Hearts of Reality, which is how I met Johnny, which brings together reality TV stars to raise money for Give Kids the World. So I did that as a volunteer for years, probably about 4 or 5 years, raising money personally and also encouraging all the reality stars to do more to raise money. And we progressively raised $1 million over several years and counting.
That's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, it is. And so it's a lot of wishes.
So many wishes.
So from that, I was offered a position here at Give Kids the World when one opened up to basically do what I was doing as a volunteer as a career. So it's been almost 4 years that I've been here. And I do, other than Hearts of Reality, I do 3 or 4 other events that raise money. Our 5K, which is in November, called the Gingerbread Run, which is back in person this year, thankfully. Yeah.
No one likes virtual runs.
No.
Except for this weirdo.
No, I don't like virtual runs.
Oh, okay. No.
Well, I show up
like
to where the run is supposed to be. That's supposed to be virtual, and then there'll be like 8 other people that are also rule breakers, and then us 8 people have fun running it.
That's how you get eaten by a gator.
Yes.
So Gingerbread Run is back on.
Yes. And then another event that I need to get Johnny out for, which we've had several survivors do over the years, and actually it's open to anybody, is our Repel event called Over the Edge, where you get to rappel 29 stories off of the Hyatt Regency.
What's that face for, Johnny? That sounds fun.
I mean, come on, Johnny. Denise Martin has done it. Janet has done it. Carolyn has done it. Morgan has done it. It's your turn.
I know. I'm a coward. Like, it's so crazy. So I was on Celebrity Bull Riding. I rode 11 bulls. I rode 8 for 8 seconds. I won Celebrity Bull Riding. Like, I beat Vanilla Ice, Rocket Ishmael, Nitro for American Gladiators, like all these like men.
Your legs must have a really good grip. Go on.
Make sure you pick up all those names there.
Yeah. But in spite of that, I'm a huge coward. And like I'm petrified of like when I got my ears pierced the first time, I fainted. My mom, she had kidney stones. She was at the hospital. She got an IV. I fainted. Like I do, like today I got Botox
What?
12 needles, and I am still weak-kneed this very second talking to you. And this is like an hour ago. So height right there with needles.
Gotcha.
Just petrified, stupefied, mortified.
What if the height is helping you escape the needles? Does that help?
Uh,
Like it's just needles at the top and pillows at the bottom.
no,
No.
but I would still probably do it if I felt it could. This is how much Give Kids the World means to me.
Okay.
If it meant raising that much more money, I would do it because like
So we have a soft yes.
We
from
have
Johnny.
a soft yes.
A
That's
soft
the
yes
thing.
on repelling. So there's
Yeah.
the gingerbread run, the repelling, and
Yeah.
what are the other fundraisers you do?
So that I personally work on, we typically have a golf tournament this past year and the year before we haven't because of COVID. That may come back. It may be reinvented. We also have, for the first time this year, we're doing a Disney convention, a pop culture like convention in September. So
that's
that will be coming up. Yeah, we'll have some, to name a few. One, Pat
Oh.
Sajak will be there. It's the first time he's ever done public appearances, and he said he would do it as long as it supported Give Kids the World. So he'll be there. Jodie Benson, the voice of the Little Mermaid, several other technical Disney people, past performers from the Magic Kingdom, just all kinds of people will be there for that. So that's a 2-day event, culminating with a private event at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, where people can purchase tickets to be there for an after hours event that's just open to a limited number of people. So that'll be a fun event. We have our gala, or as we say here at the Village, Gala, happening in September. For the first time, again, everything's for the first time now. We're doing it here at the Village, much like what Hearts of Reality will be like here at the Village for the entire event. Where we found ways to utilize the Village and actually show it off to people who didn't know it existed. So
I bet that's great for donors.
Yeah, we learned that from when we did Christmas lights last year.
Mm.
Johnny knows he's wearing a T-shirt, and which I will say he purchased. We didn't even give it to him. That's how much he loves us. He bought a shirt and everything.
Nice.
I'm ruining your bad guy image, Johnny.
I know. Stop it. I'm never going to work again. First, I do a self-help podcast, and then I buy a T-shirt.
I'm cursing more.
I could say that you stole it, but then that's not no.
So Omar, I've sorry to cut you off, but I'm gonna keep going.
No.
I've done some nonprofit charity events organizing, and the disappointing thing is that often the amount of work is huge, especially for the amount of money that you raise for events. But looking at y'all's website, it really looks like the events that you have embody the values that your organization has about people being together, embracing life, having fun experiences. So I can see how it would be very good visibly for y'all to have these fundraisers. Do you ever feel like the work is more than the actual money you're getting from them?
No. In some cases, and Johnny knows. But more often than not, all that needs to happen is people need to visit here one time, and they will do whatever they can do to raise money to do whatever it is that they need. And I think when you start to feel that way, the great thing about being here, working here at the Village, not just doing this remotely or in an office somewhere, is that I could just go downstairs and I can see the money at work. And that's what's great about Hearts of Reality too, for instance, is that we bring everybody here, and the $500, $1,000, $10,000 that they raised, they can actually see that in motion. And we're, for the past 15 years, we've been rated #1 on Charity Navigator because 93 cents of every dollar goes to the mission. So that's just a testament to what we do here on a daily basis. So I hope that answers your question.
No, it totally does. And that makes sense. If you can get people to see up close or experience what you're doing. Our local science center has started hosting a ton of events, like rental events, just because if we can get people to see the science exhibits, they'll probably want to be members, because you don't know it until you see it, how great like the opportunities you're doing are. So it makes total sense. getting people
Exactly. And then you can come, see the families, interact with the families, and really, you get to see, you get to talk to them, and they can tell you, how great it is. It's the little things that we take for granted that the kids can do when they come here. For instance, we have a zero entry pool, and we have patented PVC wheelchairs. So the kids that don't actually get to swim ever in their lives can get on these wheelchairs and actually roll into the pool with their parents.
Can you explain what
we
zero
have,
entry means? Because that's really important.
so that basically is you can the pool starts from let's say like an inch, and it gradually goes in. So it's like a ramp in a pool.
Right.
And so the wheelchair can roll into it, and gradually the pool gets deeper from 0 to 3 feet or 6 feet or wherever it is. So that's one of the many things. We have a splash pad for kids that can't actually be immersed if they have some sort of condition or medical equipment that they can't go into the water. They can roll their wheelchairs through that. We have 4 wheelchair accessible rides, including a carousel that a wheelchair can actually go on to. And then a very similar ride to like the Dumbo ride at Magic Kingdom that does have a wheelchair accessible car that the kids can go on to. And then we have like a big, if you've seen it like fairs and carnivals, the big swing. We have one of those that's wheelchair accessible as well, and the train ride that we have here. So really, it's open to everyone, and that's not always the case, even when you go to places like Disney World.
I think that's great. And just thinking about the ripple effects of the donors and volunteers that you're working with, the next time they see something about inclusive design, they might really see the value in something like zero entry, which is really important too, as everyone's getting older, for homes to have. So I can see how you're touching lives in a lot of ways with what
And
y'all's
then,
work does.
we get feedback from families. I recently have started working on the social media here for Give Kids the World, and just the simplest things that you take for granted on a regular basis. When we ask what was your favorite thing, and you expect them to say, oh, going to Universal Studios or Magic Kingdom. For them, it's like having ice cream for breakfast, or
24-hour ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah. Things like I said, like going on the carousel. We have a movie theater here. A lot of times families will say, for many reasons, sometimes they can't afford to take a family of 5 to the movies, or it's not the easiest for somebody with a wheelchair. So for them, we have first run Disney movies and Universal Picture movies, and we show them on a nightly basis. So it's just the little things that we sometimes take for granted, and even taking a vacation for some people. This is the first time that some of our families have been on a plane or out of their state or anything like that. So it's much deeper than you even think. Like everybody thinks, oh, they want to go to Disney and stuff, but it's just spending time together, creating memories, and being away from hospitals and all those kinds of things that are detrimental to life.
Like he said, like every week they do Christmas, they do Halloween, they do Pirates and Princess Night, and these happen every week. What someone like me doesn't think about is a lot of these kids, it's the first time they've ever had Halloween, because Halloween takes place at the end of October. It's cold, a lot of them have been hooked up to tubes and stuff, and so they can't go out at the end of October. And so they're doing a Halloween for the first time. It's just like, just imagine, like never doing Halloween, and then when you do Halloween, it's just like, how cool is that? So and hearing the stories from the families, and it's not just the kids that are having these wishes fulfilled. It's the entire family that's being impacted by it. It's like, for a lot of, it's the first vacation the family has gone on because they haven't been able to, because they've all been bound to where they were prior to this. And as it just, the impact just across the board is so, it just emotionally hits you like so hard. I remember the first time I went to the village, I was just like, hey, I'm hanging out with my reality friends, and then we're at the village, and we're looking around, and there's not a single person that doesn't have a tear running down their eye, and they're very happy tears. So.
Yeah. And then on the other side of the spectrum there, we also have almost everything we do runs on volunteers, which is why our number, our 93 cents of every dollar goes into play. So not only does it change the lives of all of these families and the kids that come, but the number of senior citizens that come and volunteer here on a daily basis,
Oh,
it's giving them a purpose that they didn't feel like they had before. And we have there's a lady named Marilyn. I always talk about her, and she hates it when I talk about her because she doesn't want any sort of recognition for what she does.
she
But
did
they
not check the
literally,
recognition box on her form. Gotcha.
yeah. We were during Volunteer Appreciation Week, we were doing spotlights on different volunteers, and so I talked to her about it. She's like, no, 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 and finally I talked her into it. I said, all we're going to do is just tell people what it is that you do, and hopefully other people will want to come do what you do.
Just
And so she finally agreed to it. But she's here more than a full-time person every week, probably 50 to 60 hours. Sometimes they have to send her away, but she completely runs our what we call Santa's workshop. So where all the toys are that come in from Hasbro, and she organizes all of them. And it's pretty much a daily thing because we have Christmas every Thursday.
yeah.
So Santa comes every Thursday and brings toys, and so she takes care of all of that. So
And Hasbro is Christmas. I mean,
yeah.
it's legit as fuck.
Yeah. Oh no,
Like,
I have no children, but I've heard of Hasbro.
Yeah, it's not here's some checkers. I hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
One of the pieces is missing,
Yes.
and the other one's white. But that's cool too, because I like that there's always, if you've got a skill, no matter what it is, there's probably a charity you can help with. So if you're not good with people, but you're good with organizing shit,
Mm-hmm.
there's a charity that can use you.
And then, too, we do. So one of the other, there's lots of little things that happen, daily gift giving, where we have volunteers go and deliver gifts specific to each kid every single day. So when they come back, they have something to look forward to. But not only the kid, but their siblings as well.
No
but
way.
then
The sibling too?
Yeah, we treat, and this is something that a lot of the reality stars who've come here have said, you can't always tell who's who, and we don't even really know unless it's obvious, because we treat the siblings the same as the wish kid.
Oh.
The only thing that's different is the wish kid is the only one who gets a star that's in the Castle of Miracles. So we have, which will lead me to talk about that now. We have something called the Castle of Miracles, which is a castle right behind our giant mushroom carousel. That's like the centerpiece of the village. So if you Google "Give Kids the World," it's the first thing that will come up. You can see that giant mushroom. And in that castle, on the ceiling, are stars from every single child that has been here. I always get these numbers. It's either 1992 or 1995. We were established in 1986, but of course, the castle didn't exist then. I'm pretty sure it's 1995. So every single child from then on, about 8,000 wishes per year, has a star on that ceiling. And it continues on, and we've built a tower, and there's all sorts of places, but it's the most impactful place that you can visit here at Give Kids the World, because you can really get an idea of how many people have been here and how many wishes have been fulfilled. So that's this thing that's very specific to the wish child, but otherwise the siblings get treated the same way. They can go get ice cream whenever they want. They get, like I said, they get a specific gift delivered to them. And that's because a lot of times people forget, when you have a sick child that's a sibling, the sibling is sometimes kind of, I don't want to say forgotten about, but the focus is so much on that illness of that child that, they're also missing out on holidays and things with the family and vacations and things. So we treat everybody exactly, the same as far as that goes. It's really a wish for the whole family.
So the siblings get to feel special, and then the children with illnesses get to feel like they don't stick out as much.
Exactly. So we try to be as inclusive as possible.
And there's fresh baked cookies on bikes going around the village at all times.
Hey, we've upgraded. It's a golf cart now, Johnny.
Oh, it's a golf cart.
Now,
It's starting to sound like Willy Wonka, but just with
very
with fewer hazards,
with less consequences.
Yes,
immensely less consequences.
It's funny that you say that, because last September, when we decided we were going to do the Christmas light event, we were here long hours, and so we would go around on golf carts and things, and we have these big gates out front, um, that you can see. They're like wrought iron gates. You can see inside. And a lot of people don't know what it is that we are, but as the lights started to build and you could kind of see them over the fence, I mean, 3 million lights eventually, you could see it from, people were sending us pictures from airplanes, like commercial airplanes. You could see the whole village.
Wow.
There were people standing outside, kind of like Willy Wonka, looking in, and it's like, what is this? Can we come in? And we're like, not yet. You had to wait till November, when
For
we
a donation, you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And they did. We didn't know when we did that event. We were closed for wishes. We're like, what are we going to do for all this time? And unfortunately, they laid off. We had 200 staff. We went down to 27 staff. Luckily, I was one that stayed on. And we were just like, what are we going to do in all this time? So we had this Christmas light event. Disney donated all of what would have been their final year of Osborne lights.
Wow.
And we put up 3 million lights and invited people in, and 91,000 people came in 52 days, and raised a ton of money. And it just was incredible. It was incredible to see, and people now know who we are and are more involved, and it was really great. So it's really the essence of what we were talking about today, is that you have a situation that's not the best, and you figure out how to make it better, in any little way possible. And that's kind of the essence of what it is that we do here, is figuring out ways, whether it be the Christmas light event or every wish that comes through, just to make that person's life a little bit better for however long you can.
I remember back the first time I came to the village, and I heard the story about how it was founded, and I've been back, multiple years since, and I haven't heard the founder's story again. Do you mind sharing that story, because it's as incredible as all this is? It's even more incredible to how this began.
Yeah. So, as Johnny was saying, typically what we do when we bring in reality stars who've been for the first time is they get basically a history of what it is that Give Kids the World is and how it was founded. So we were founded by a gentleman named Henry Landworth, who was a Holocaust survivor who actually was in a concentration camp, and survived. And he became a hotel owner here in Orlando and also on the Space Coast. And he was friends with lots of astronauts like John Glenn and lots of different people because of the hotel, being on the Space Coast.
Was it like a Howard Johnson?
Yeah. And then here it was a Holiday Inn
in class,
which is still, and then here in Orlando it was a Holiday Inn, which I will say is still one of our biggest supporters. Holiday Inn, that never ended in all the 35 years that we've been here.
Holiday Inn.
And so he would get requests for, to help with wishes for kids to be able to stay in his hotel so they can go to Disney World and things like that. And he always obliged and always took care of them. And then he heard of a little girl named Amy who, unfortunately, because the wish process took so long, she passed away before she got her wish fulfilled. And so he vowed for that to never happen again. And so that's where Give Kids the World was born. And he started fundraising on this actual place that we are now, with one villa. And every time he raised enough money, he built another one and another one. And now we're at 166 villas. They're duplex style villas. And some of them are multi-story. So we can't build out anymore. So now we're building up. But they're all the same on the inside. And several venues and several rides and things like that. So that was Henry's life. He survived the Holocaust and just vowed to make a difference in the lives of others. And obviously that has continued. He passed away in 2019 at age 91. And we will continue his legacy and keep Give Kids the World moving forward and keep it growing and being able to fulfill as many wishes as we can do. Unfortunately, we would prefer to not have to exist, obviously, because it's a place where kids who have critical illnesses come. So if there were no critical illnesses for kids, it would be a great thing, but unfortunately it's not. So we're here to make sure that they get to make those memories and do all the things they want to do. We obviously, with COVID, we have not been able to do as many wishes, but things are moving very quickly, and actually the wishes are increasing weekly. Every week we're getting more and more and more. We had our first international wish back this week, somebody from Canada, and the wishes are more than we can handle for next year. So we're already working on a plan. We never say no to a wish. We just will put the child and their family in a resort, and they can still come here for all the things that make Give Kids the World special. So from what we understand, there are at least 10,000 wishes just from Make-A-Wish next year from all the postponed wishes that are coming through. And we typically only have 8,000 wishes a year. And I'm not even including in that 10,000 all of the other wish granters from around the world that we fulfill wishes for. So it's going to be an incredible year of getting that, taken care of. Sorry for all my notifications.
Well, you're kind of undercutting my next question. To be negative about it, you're doing about 8,000 wishes a year, almost $7,000 per wish to take a whole family out for the year, their transportation and everything. What would you say to people who feel like, it's nice to make people happy, but that money could be better going to research to eradicate these diseases?
That is definitely an argument that can be made. But when you see, just listening to and hearing the difference that it makes in the life of a child, there are several kids, and I know Jonny has, I think you've met who we call Princess Alyssa Piracheski. I never can say, people can't say my last name. I never can say her last name. But she was a child who had leukemia. And she was, for a long time, was the poster child for Give Kids the World that we used in all of our ads. And that's why we called her Princess Alyssa, because she wore a tiara. And she was not doing well. And she came to Give Kids the World. Her wish was to come to Disney World, obviously. And they didn't give her a whole lot of time to live after that diagnosis. And once she was here, inexplicably, she progressively started getting better. And they credit that to, you can think about it however you want, but the power of hope and just not living in that constant state of, dealing with a disease or being in a hospital can really change the outlook. So just your mindset and being able to, just enjoy time, and it can, hope is the best medicine sometimes. And
I spoke with her, I heard her testimonial, and then I, got to talk to her for a while afterwards. And she went to the village with no hope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, hey, you got your wish. And it's like, okay. This is one good thing, but, whatever. And then, it was like day 3, at the village, she's just like, hey, and then, she left that week with hope. And she was like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. She goes, if I had not gone there, I would be dead right now.
Hope happened to her.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And for anyone who doesn't think that your mind has that much influence over your body, I want everyone to think about eating a lemon. Like, think about a lemon, a yellow lemon with like the shiny skin, the pits in the skin. You put it on a cutting board, you like squish it on your hand to get the juice out. You cut the lemon open and you cut a slice off and you stick it in your mouth. If you're actually imagining that, chances are you're going to feel yourself salivate, or you're going to feel your mouth do something, because we all know what a lemon is like. If you can make yourself salivate unintentionally just by thinking of a lemon, I mean, there you go. Your body is influenced by your mind. And if that example didn't work, you should still give this organization money and not be heartless.
Well, and it goes back to what we were talking about, even with volunteers, people who have a purpose, that have some reason to live. They they thrive. You know what I mean? Older people, senior citizens that have purpose, they're just healthier overall. And it's the same thing with the kids. They don't feel like they're I mean, ultimately they don't think that they're gonna live. They're told, the worst possible news. And then they come here and everything is yes. We never say no to anything. Whatever it is that you want, we find out a way to make it work. And it just changes your whole attitude, really. And I think that
y'all are giving them stuff that they can do actively. It sounds like that they can be the actor, because I would imagine if you're a sick child, there's a lot coming. You are being acted upon by very qualified and loving people, but you are receiving a lot of stuff and not getting to do much. And as humans, I mean, yeah, it's important to be able to feel like we're the subject of the sentence. We're the one making something happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, so to answer your question, it's a different kind of medicine, but it's medicine, and it does make a difference. And there are so many kids like that. But there are just as many kids that don't make it. But a lot of the families, there's a little girl named Cambry who came here for a wish, and unfortunately she had her wish and she loved it and it was great. And it was probably a month or so ago, we got word that she wasn't doing very well. I think she was 12 or 13. And she wanted to come back here because she had literally days to live. And the only thing she wanted to do was come back here to Florida and dip her feet in the water. So we brought her here. She came back to the pool, and sorry. And
how we say hello and how we say goodbye are very important human work. I'm glad y'all gave her a good goodbye.
And she did. She unfortunately passed away just a couple of days later. So we just do what we can do. That's all you can do here and in life, really, is just do what you can do.
I agree. And I would say to anyone who still feels salty about that money could go to research, like, what are you going to do about it? If you truly feel that way, how much money are you going to give to research?
Yeah, I mean, and research is great, but that's not going to help some of the kids that are dealing with what they're dealing with now, that may not make it through to when that research comes to fruition. It's a balance.
Logical point. You can do something in 3 months that will take 5 more years in research. So, yeah. Okay, great. So everyone give them money. That idea that y'all try your best to say yes. Is that how you operate as a person already? Is that an ethos you had to grow into and learn once you started there? Because I'm someone that my default is saying no, especially to fun things like live music. I'm trying to grow the muscle of like saying yes and not looking at the downside.
We went to the pool yesterday.
I said yes. I said yes.
She shockingly said yes, and I said yes to her bikini.
Well, so what about you? Did you adopt that as a staff member, or is that how you are?
That's how I am. And
okay. Well, yeah, look at your shirt. It's full of squids. Anyway.
Yeah. I have a lot of crazy shirts like this. It's my jellyfish shirt. But yes.
It's jellyfish.
He has a lot of crazy attire that is so freaking like if you don't get a chance to talk to Omar, you can just look at Omar and start smiling, because he just
That's super awesome.
It's just happiness is coming your way.
Happy jellyfish. So I'm sorry, we keep cutting you off.
No, it's fine. Always say yes. I mean, it's the power of yes is incredible in so many ways. A lot of times I may regret that, case in point, I was in Key West a couple of weeks ago with some reality friends, and we went to a bar that had a mechanical bull, and I said yes, and I jammed my finger, but I had fun and I did it, and I'd never done it before. Or the first time I did Over the Edge, I was afraid, as Johnny is afraid, and I said yes. And it's just that moment of the unknown that it takes to get past that. And once you get past that moment of unknown, now I've done it 3 times because I know what to expect and I'm not afraid of it anymore. So I think fear, a lot of time, fear is just the unknown. And once you get past that moment of unknown, I used to be, when I was a kid, because of my mom, I was always afraid of scary things. And so like horror events and things like that. And then when I was an adult, I went to Halloween Horror Nights for the first time and realized I was like, these are just people like me. And now I love it. Now I go to all things horror. I used to be afraid of snakes, and I went to Gatorland, and in a controlled environment, I held a boa, and now I love it. Like
Now
I
he's in
love
Britney
snakes.
Spears
He's
videos.
like, it's just that moment of like realizing they're not going to hurt you. I mean, there are snakes that can hurt you. Don't get me wrong. You don't want to go
Don't play with those.
random snakes. But I really feel like, and I've come to kind of live my life this way, is that once you get past that moment of unknown and that little bit of fear and realize it's really not that big of a deal, you can live your life kind of open and just kind of experiencing everything. And if it's something that you don't love, then you don't do it again. But at least you know.
Try it once, like broccoli. That unknown. So I think for maybe very rational people, it's easy for fear and the, well, I don't know how it's going to happen to get intertwined. And you're actually afraid, but what you're saying is, well, it just doesn't make sense. How are we going to make it happen? So when you're saying yes to all of these really big plans and goals with your organization, I mean, why do you say yes when you don't know how you're going to do it?
You figure it out. You figure
How?
out.
How do you
You say
figure it
yes,
out?
and then you figure it out.
What are some of your top ways for figuring it out?
I'm trying to think of a situation where you say yes and then it doesn't always work.
And I'm being a little unfair because I'm on your side with this, and I think
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of a
Hug
situation.
gets rewarded.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, sometimes you have to say yes and what I mean by that is it may be a little ridiculous, but we're going to figure out a way to at least get you. And I'm trying to think of an exact situation, and I can't at the moment. But what I mean by that is, you may say yes to something and figure out an alternative that's similar, but you're still getting to that, to that ultimate goal. Because sometimes things are ridiculous and you can't say yes completely, but you can find an alternative and try and make it work. Yeah.
Well, and it sounds like you all are really good at getting people on board.
Yeah.
And so how do you do that? How do you get all of these volunteers, supporters, reality stars, donors? How do you do it? How do you
I
amass
think
that community?
telling the story of the village, and if you can get people here to see it kind of speaks for itself. But I think ultimately the key to my job and to what we do here at the village is really relationship building, and creating relationships and friendships with people, getting them involved, making them feel like they're a part of what it is that we do. And it's very easy. Luckily with the village, it's a place you can visit as far as a charity aspect goes, versus something like junior achievement or raising money for like a disease research or things like that. They're not tangible things that you can see. It's going toward
Titrate
that.
with us.
But yeah, so the thing about what we do is that we can show you. We can bring you here. We can show you a video. We have all these testimonials, and you can see it in our social media. So in that regard, we're pretty fortunate in getting the story of the village out. And then people love it so much they want to tell everyone about it. So that's one way that we're pretty lucky.
And there's so many I'm blessed to have the opportunity to go once a year to the village, and there's so many families there that they're not there for their wish. They're coming back, either with the family, the member of the family that had the wish, or without, under bad circumstances. But those families come back and they volunteer year after year because it meant that much to them.
And we do something called Alumni Visits. So families that have been here, I mean, you never get a full wish again, but you can come for a day. You get you can have up to 4 visits per year. and you can do everything that we do in that day. So if they come on Halloween, they can come have dinner. They get like a dinner voucher. They can do trick-or-treating. If it's Christmas, they can go visit Santa. And a lot of times all the families want to do, especially if they no longer have their child with them, is go visit their star. That's the biggest thing. And again, it goes back to how we take things for granted, really, that you'd think that people want to come back and they want to come visit Santa so they can get a gift. But no, they just want to come see their child's star. That's like a connection to that child, especially if they're no longer here, and they want to go take a picture in front of the villa they stayed in, or they want to visit the places that are, that are their memories, that they did those things with that child at, whether it's the mini golf course or the movie theater or the garden or whatever it is. And that's another thing that we do here, and we're actually doing next week, is a lot of the venues are dedicated to former Wish kids who've passed away. So Julie Safari Theater, the Amberville, Mark's Dino Putt. Next week we're dedicating, and this is different from when you've been here, Johnny. You'll have to look when you're here next. Inside Amberville, where they have the remote control boats, Legoland made over that space, and it's all Lego themed now, from the ceiling to the floor. They redid everything. Oh, wow. And so that's going to be named after a Wish kid who passed away recently named Jackson.
It's and so cool. Like every single thing is named after a kid, which is like so. I heard a story, and I can't remember if I've asked you about this. So, I don't know if it was 2 years. I think it was 2 years ago that the guide that we had, they said like an A-list celebrity wanted to donate some money to Give Kids the World, but he wanted something named after him. And it's just like, yeah, we don't do that. It's just like, well, no, I'm talking about a lot of money. And you guys were just like, well, we don't do that. However, come down and hang out. And then if you still feel that way, we'll discuss it, even though the answer is no. And then, that A-list celebrity came down and allegedly vehemently apologized for such a shitty idea.
Turned a little bit inward now and realized my heart is black as coal.
Yeah.
It's true.
There you go.
What I mean that's true is that we don't name anything after any sort of company or anything like that. So that goes back to Henry. He never wanted anybody that was supporting the village to do it so that their name would be on something. Yeah. So even though our big partners, which we recognize in annual reports, and there actually is some space in our office level that we recognize our supporters, but you'll never see, even though Boston Market provides all of the food or all of the monetary needs for the food, nothing is named Boston Market. It's actually named after a Katie's Kitchen's named after a child. So
you
Boston Market holiday.
Papa John's was using that as like a training facility.
Yeah, it was technically, when we were partners with Papa John's at one point, it was considered a what's the word I'm looking for? A franchise. So it was an actual Papa John's run kitchen that we had here. Same thing with Boston Market, like the actual people that run our kitchen work technically for Boston Market pre-pandemic. We'll probably get back there again soon. Same thing goes for Perkins. Perkins provides all of the, so it's Perkins, Boston Market, and now we have our own pizza kitchen. We don't really have a pizza sponsor. And then places like Holiday Inn, Davidson Hotels. There's so many people that provide so much of the funding, but they're good with not having their name on things. Only during events and things like our 5K do we have naming rights. But that's just that Henry wanted people to do it for what the purpose of it was, not to have their name on something or anything like that. And we definitely do find ways to recognize them. But there's not a big sign that says that when you drive in, sponsored by or anything like that. And it's one of the few places that you can actually see. We have in our cafeteria a Coke fountain and a Pepsi fountain. It's one of the only places that you can get literally Coke and Pepsi right next to each other. and they're both supporters of the village, and we do have that here. So really, if a kid has a preference on what soft drink they want, we have all of them. So yeah, it's as Johnny said, we don't name things, and not for really any amount of money, but I will say we don't turn money down. We just figure out an alternative. So somebody wants to give a lot of money, we just say we can't do that, but we can do this.
Say yes mentality. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So and it goes back to what you were saying, is like a lot of times you don't want to say no, you just say yes, but we can't do that, we can do this instead. So it's kind of, offering an alternative. Really, that's the way to say yes to everything. Is if you have to say no, say no, in a way that is still saying yes, just with an alternative.
So we've only got you for a few more minutes because you're off helping kids. With a job what you do, how easy is it to take care of yourself? Because you're so human, you have your limits. I'm sure there are things that tire you. So is it hard to do self-care when you know that the work you're doing is so important and generally very uplifting?
Yes. And it's going to sound really corny because it's a thing that people say a lot, but if you really love what it is that you do, it's not work. So I don't even recognize it sometimes that I'm doing things at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes that just need to be done. And I'm thinking about it. I'm going to take care of it because I really don't see it as a job. When I interviewed for this job, they asked me what it is what I required in order to take this job. And I said, honestly, enough money to be able to support myself. I'm not asking for anything ridiculous. As long as I can have what I'm making in my old job, I want to be here. And it really just is about loving what you do, and then you don't realize that it's work. So I feel like, now don't get me wrong, there are moments where I do feel overwhelmed and it's just like a lot going on, but a lot of times you just don't, if you love it, then it doesn't feel like work and you don't really feel overwhelmed. And then luckily I've made lots of really great relationships. So even when I'm working, it's fun to be around people that, doing events and doing things, and it just feels not only fulfilling, but it's fun and rewarding.
Nice.
So every episode we have a call to action and a charity that we like to steer people towards. I think it's obvious that we're going to steer people towards Give Kids the World. I have a link that goes to my Hearts of Reality fundraiser. I would be more than happy to provide that for you, Omar.
Please do. Please do.
And you can find that in the
donate to Johnny's
comments.
fundraiser. I will say all of the money, it all goes into the same pot, no matter where you put it. So if you're going to make a donation, I think you should make it to Johnny's page, obviously.
Johnny doesn't. Yep.
I do not get the money.
Yeah, it goes directly to us. It just helps toward his effort of raising as much money as possible so he can be in the top 10 fundraisers.
And was I last year?
You were.
Is that
good job?
Is that insanity?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I've seen the money that people raise for them, so top 10 is really good.
I mean, how many reality stars and WWE stars did you have working last year? I mean, like 100.
Probably around 100 that fundraised at least. And yeah, and there were some. I mean, I think our one of our top fundraisers, not our top fundraiser, but one of the top fundraiser was like $40,000. But one of our top fundraisers was Janelle from Big Brother, who just sold the necklace she wore on the show, and it made like 18 grand.
Smart.
I know, because
I love it.
Yeah, people they find ways. Like they're always like, what if we do this? What if we do that? And it's another thing. Yes, what if I auction this? Like Johnny will say to me, hey, I've got this person, they want this signed thing. Yes, whatever I have to do. And now it's become to the point that I kind of am this reality star dealer in essence, because people will, hey, I want an autographed photo of so-and-so for my brother's birthday. Can you make that happen? Yeah, make a donation. I'll figure out how to get you that photo or that call or that cameo or that, hey, a lot of times Johnny knows this. Hey, will you do this video for this Survivor online game? Just saying, congratulations, and they'll make a donation to your page. So
Seconds
always,
later, he has that video. Seconds.
yeah, he really is good at that. And then he has that donation in seconds too. So it just is just sharing the story and trying to get the word. I've already forgotten what the question was because I've gone off on a
What's
rant.
the charity that you would like people to give money to?
Johnny's Hearts of Reality page for Give Kids the World, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure that that's in the show notes and on your social media when this drops.
Yes.
And then a call to action, right? So change is hard and self-improvement is hard. So one step at a time is a good way to do things. So like, what is one step people can take, something that you believe in, either helping kids or helping your charity or helping themselves? Just give us one action step that you'd like people to take.
I think just in life in general, figuring out how to say yes and finding that thing that always saying yes and figuring out how to get to yes. Like I said, sometimes it doesn't work or you find an alternative, but you still got to yes in some way. And I think too, doing that thing that you're afraid of and getting past that moment of fear to get to whatever it is that you want to do. For me, like even with this job, it was completely different from what I had been doing in my other job, but it was like, this is what I want to do. This is where I felt my purpose was. And so I figured out how to make it happen, and, or going over the edge, which Johnny's going to do next year, getting on the edge of that building and looking down. It's scary.
Yeah.
So once you stand up and you enjoy the view and realize that you're safe and you can do it. You can see things that you never got to. And I think what makes me the most sad is when I hear people say I can't or I won't do that because of because of fear. I don't want to hold a snake or go on a roller coaster because I'm afraid of that. But you don't know until you try it. And you just have to get past it and live, and I think that's what happens a lot of times with all these the kids that come here is that they just want to live and they want to enjoy things like everyone else.
I love it. So guys, your action step, say yes, find something this week to say yes to. And if you're afraid, hey, Omar is cheering you on and he might not know you, but I totally believe after talking to you that Omar believes in you and wants you to say yes.
And I think it can be as easy as trying a new food. Like it doesn't have to be.
Oh yes, keep it simple.
Or wearing a shirt with jellyfish on it. Like
well, once you've got your jellyfish on, what the fuck are you afraid of?
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
You're set.
They can't steer and they still eat things and scare people. Don't be afraid.
Yesterday I was wearing a shirt that had toucans on it drinking a beer, so today's jellyfish, yesterday was toucan drinking a beer, tomorrow will be, who knows.
Toucan.
Whatever you feel. Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you so much, Omar. This was wonderful. Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah. And thank you for having me on.
I knew I was going to love every second of this. You made me cry again. That's okay. I've made Omar cry before. So now we're even again.
Yes.
Competition. I'm glad you're even.
Thank you so much. Hey, get back to doing what you're doing. And we're going to go say yes over here.
Yep. Give kids the world. Woo!
Thank you, Omar.
All right. Have a good one.